Welcome to Tala Longevity Talks. I'm Snyman, your host, and I'm privileged to have today with me Theo Brits. Theo Brits is a cyclist himself, but he's a cycle and a performance coach. And I'm eager to find out from him how he do it, especially for the little ones, the children. He starts them at early age and get them into a way to think not just performance, but to get them to think of longevity and to embrace the sport for a very long time. Welcome to you.
Thanks, Hannes. Appreciate it.
I spoke with you the other day in my pharmacy, and then we usually give medicine and you ask me a lot of questions. But please tell me, how do you teach people, and especially these little ones, how do you teach them to be resilient and to perform?
I think to teach them, first of all, performance is usually a negative word for a lot of kids. Understand, it's a lot of pressure. So I think we start off breaking down with positive self-talk. Understand, teaching them that positive words, affirmations, basically leads to positive results, and negative things leads to negative outcomes. I think that's usually the standard. Understand, to start them to understand that it's not about the end goal, but it's how I approach the problem. That's usually the start that we do in getting the confidence and the trust from there. The next thing we start doing is basically just breaking their goals down. Understand, all kids got goals and achievements, well, any athlete actually for that matter, but breaking it down into manageable steps gives them a sense of control and a way to measure their progress during, especially on a long race. They can measure their progress going through, I can say, through the entire time. Visualization is an important technique, making them understand what they are up to, understand what they're going to want to achieve, giving them time to prepare for the race or for the event without being in the event. Okay, so I think from there, basically, we get them equipped and ready for the race. But the next thing is usually when they start off with an event or a long race, things happen. Uncontrollable things come. It's not a controlled environment anymore. And anxiety and stress and things go wrong, flat tire, those things happen. So we need to prepare them for that as well, understand? And by equipping them with knowledge on the nutrition, how to prepare those things is important, but how to deal with anxiety is more important, because if you're anxious, you won't have a, I can say, level mind on how to actually approach the problem. So breathing technique, understand, mindfulness. Okay, I'm here, I'm okay, it's just a flat tire, for instance, is usually a good principle to establish. Then basically you've prepared them and they know how to react for the demands of the event going forward. So that's in a nutshell.
Theo, please tell me, do you enjoy it to work with these little ones, you know, the preschoolers and the primary schoolers? Or do you prefer more to work with the professional athletes, or even though the old folk, you know, the people that's already into their longevity trip?
The weekend warriors and the people that actually wants to still achieve something. I think, if I can be brutally honest, I will enjoy working with everybody, but I have a passion for kids. Understand, to develop them and nurture them, understand, and to actually see these kids grow through a single session. I mean, cycling is a long-term sport. It's not a short-term gain type thing. Understand, we've got the saying of to develop an athlete or a cyclist about 10,000 hours. So the sooner you start, the better. But the initial growth, understand, the adaptation, the resilience of kids is amazing. In a single coaching session, a kid can go from being fearful to confident to most probably overconfident, understand, within an hour. Whereas to your senior athletes, they've got already their goals, their expectations set, understand. How can I say, the whole structure, the way they think and approach things is different to kids. Kids got this hesitant, and once they see they can actually do it, this immense gratitude, understand, towards and say, they appreciate it more. So I love working with kids. It's immensely, how can I say, fulfilling, if I can put it that way. But the whole approach is to actually take these kids, these young ones, and actually equip them for a long-term sport, the long-term athletic approach, like we all call it. to give them the ability, but also the confidence or the know-how on how they can actually make this a long-term sport and not just a single event type thing, understand? But keep the fun, and that's what's nice. As performance athletes, sometimes willing to sacrifice the fun for the performance, whereas kids, fun is first, understand? So we call the fundamentals, the basics. It's easy, I love it. I love working with kids.
And then are there hope for the old folk, like they start cycling at my age?
Definitely. I think the older people get, I don't know if it's a sense of missing out or still some unresolved, how can I say, goals that you've set yourself. It's never too late to get into, and that's the nice thing about cycling. It's the type of sport where a grandfather of 63 can be riding with his grandson of 13, 16. Understand? So it is, I can say, an inclusive sport basically on that. And we just need to manage the expectations of it. Obviously, you'll get your senior, how can I say, grey foxes, like we call them, the racing snakes of the old days that still want to achieve a top level, but it's not necessarily possible. So then you bring them back and say, listen, you're doing this for fun. You're doing this for your health, for your longevity, understand? And once you stay within those parameters, yeah, there's definitely hope, it's never too late to start.
Theo, in my pharmacies, I see a lot of burnout. You get these athletes, they are so competitive, they just train and they work so hard, they don't realize that they are busy going into burnout. What do you do to prevent burnout?
Burnout is it is a result of something, like you're saying, it's overtraining. It's basically not planning your training, not being aware of the value of recovery, sleep. Sleep is first and foremost priority. Understand? Prioritize your sleep. Don't try to just push the goals the whole time. Sleep 7 to 9 hours minimum. Give the body time to rest, recover, and build some muscle. Secondly, to actually eat well. Nutrition is vital for recovery. There's certain foods that you need to recover, like proteins, those things. Your body needs it to build and repair torn muscles. So nutrition is key as well. Secondly is, like I said in the beginning, planning the training. Periodization is a great tool, understand, to manage an athlete's training load, where you actually plan in, how can I say, recovery days, cross-training sessions. And recovery days is not like sitting on a couch watching movies, or it is actually having active recovery, doing something like a bit of yoga, a bit of stretching, cross-training, strength training, especially for cyclists, not just linear movement. Those things actually help in the, how can I say, the managing of the training load of the cyclist, give him time off the bike. And it also actually helps with the mental fatigue, because you get physical fatigue and you get mental fatigue. So just taking the focus away from just the cycling and the performance training part of it, and actually allowing for alternative training methods helps with both.
Do energy management through a race is crucial. How do you teach people to learn how to utilize your energy, to still have enough energy left so that you can do that quick sprint at the end to still have a good performance?
I think it starts way before the race itself. Understand, some people need to understand, first and foremost, physical conditioning is key, but the demands of the race, the stress, the uncontrollables is different. So I think pacing is first and foremost. You need to know, I can say, break your race down in goal settings. Understand, what do I want to achieve, certain milestones, and learn to pace your race. Not to start off all guns blazing and towards the end you've got no guns left. We call it, in cycling, we refer to the candles being burnt. Once they understand pacing, you tie that into a nutritional plan. What's a feeding plan? Understand, how are you going to eat? How much you're going to consume versus the demands. Because overfueling is just as big problem as underfueling. So a nice thing on nutrition for people to understand is to train on the same products or the same supplementation that you're going to do on race day. Don't change on race day and you start that you've never done. One of your products is perfect for that. Understand, like the mega rehydration. The nice thing about it, it is not just a something that hydrates you, but actually supplements and put back the minerals that you lose and you sweat out during the race. Understand? If physical conditioning is in place, supplementation aids to it. Understand? So your mega rehydration is a beautiful product for that. Okay, it also doesn't spike with too much sugars, because that's a problem that a lot of cyclists do. They overspike on fast-acting carbohydrates. They get the sugar rushes, and then all of a sudden they hit a wall. They don't have any performance left. So planning your nutritional plan with your pacing plan is crucial into maintaining the energy throughout your race and having the performance actually when is needed.
Would you recommend that cyclists, also like the runners, start using the monochain triglycerides, the MCT oil, instead of using through a race all those sugary drinks and all the corn syrups? What is your suggestion on that?
I think it is a personal thing to answer. A lot of people's bodies adapt to certain things different. A lot of people can't take the oils. A lot of people can't take the viscosity of these gels and those type of things. Understand? So a lot of people want the thinner ones. So it is something that we need to be sensitive to what the athlete's body is telling him. Okay. So again, going through this and testing it before race, during training, is usually the best way of understanding what your body needs. Don't change before race. I'm all for the oils better. I think it's not as fast acting release. Understand, blood sugars is better maintained, all those things, but it is a personal thing for athletes. If I can leave it with that, it's not just my opinion.
Cycling in Europe is very big, and in South Africa it's growing. You told me the other day how many little ones and preschoolers and primary schoolers end up getting into a race, and then the older children in secondary school. But please tell me, how did cycling change over the years? What is your opinion, and what do you think is the future?
Listen, there's been big changes in the discipline of cycling as much as there's in the sport of cycling. But I think the thing that for me is more noticeable is actually the people's approach to the sport. That's different. People are seeing cycling more as a inclusive type family orientated environment, which is quite nice. Understand, where it's something where the kids and the adults can do, and that's putting a lot more people on bike because it's time that they can share. So the aspect of wholeness, of longevity, of the social aspect of the sport is growing phenomenally. Understand? So that attributes to a lot of your races, more commercial type races, understand, where the entire family rides at the same time, like in marathon events. And that's big in South Africa. Versus Europe, cycling is a means, but it is more a specialized type sport, where they focus a lot on the disciplines. And even on the disciplines, like you get the marathon, the cross country, the XCO, the XCCs, there's numerous disciplines in it. In South Africa, we are mainly, inclined towards the marathon, the longer distances, understand, the longer time in the saddle. Whereas with schools, focusing on more the shorter, repeated efforts, like the XCO, cross-country, Olympics, which is, in any case, the most competitive part of the sport. Understand? So there's a lot of focus taken away from, in South Africa especially, from only doing this long, endless miles to actually doing shorter efforts. Understand, a XCO race for according to UCI standards, is never more than an hour 20 minutes. Understand? So how many laps can they do that? Understand? Whereas in the past, if you want to do ultra marathon or a marathon race, you'll be in the saddle for 3-4 hours at a time. So there's a lot of changes and awareness being created in the different disciplines of the sport. But I think what people are taking more is, a lot of people are taking and partaking in the sport not as much for the performance part of it, but more for the wholeness, the mindfulness, the enjoyment of the sport. And I think that is what makes the sport resilient. Understand? You always get the achievers. You always get the athlete that wants to perform. You're giving him the platform. If he chooses to perform, he'll perform. But if you just want to choose to partake, there's place for them as well. So that's I think it's in a healthy space at the moment.
Theo, you cycle yourself and you do races. Is there a specific race you can remember that you had some challenges with yourself or with another athlete? Please share your experience with me.
I battle with every race, to be honest with you. So I'd rather not talk about myself because we've got the saying in say, cycling, it never gets easier, you get faster. Understand? So, but if I can share a story which for me is made quite a big impact. Understand? We're all living in an age where things change, time demands on work and those things is not as expected. And you get a lot of times you get these athletes, they prep the whole season planning for this one race, understand? Because that's their benchmark, that's where they want to, it's achievement they want to, how can I say, achieve. And this one race, I was actually riding with an athlete. He prepped for the race to Sun, which is a ultramarathon event. Understand? You've got two options: the 80 to the 100 or the 160 kilometers. So it is a demanding race. And this one athlete, he prepped all he could. Then he got knee injuries. Understand? He had to be off the bike for 3 months of the preparation. And long story short, we ended up with literally 2 months to prepare him for an 80-kilometer race. So then the question already starts: am I racing to compete or am I racing to complete? And with an athlete, especially, that's a difficult question to ask because they've got this benchmark which they want to achieve. He still had his goals. He wanted to do it sub a time limit. Understand? And to actually, I can assist him. Actually, decided to do the race with him. Understand? Because I know he wasn't physically conditioned for the race. So we started off this race, and I remember within about 20 kilometers into the race, he started cramping. Understand? He was not physically conditioned for this race, and I knew it. But assisting or supporting somebody through difficult times is what we are as coaches. We are more than just coaches dictating what to do. We're mentors. We guide. We support. And we ended up going through this race, and I basically just affirmed the whole time why he's doing this. You entered this race because you want to finish this race. So we're going to finish this race. So changes, nutritional strategies, those things during the race. We ended up finishing the race. But the guy was, I think, the satisfaction, the elation that he experienced at the end of the race, of the accomplishment, of finishing it, just literally finishing it, forgetting about all the time that is not his time that he wanted to achieve, all the months that got lost. That showed me that it doesn't matter what life throws at you. If you're willing to just endure, adapt, and carry on, we always say one pedal stroke at a time. As long as you keep on pedaling, you're going forward. For me, that's the story of life. Understand? And I remember seeing that manifest during the race, where this guy going through all these hardships, can't, self-doubt, through, yes, I can maybe, no, I'm never going to do it, going through all those things, being able to experience it on I can say, usually if you battle it yourself, it's different, but seeing it in another person, manifesting, going through the emotions, and actually getting to finish was immensely grateful. And it just, I can say, affirms for me that cycling is like life. It doesn't matter what happens, you need to carry on. It's not going to be easy always, but you carry on.
Theo, that's remarkable, I must say. Being a cyclist, you're always in denial. You always keep telling you it's not that bad. You just have to push through. It's one more hill to go.
It's a positive talk.
It is. I must say, but me being a pharmacist, people come into the pharmacy and they ask me a lot of questions. And you're welcome to also ask me a question. Is there anything you want to know about your health or about my products?
Listen, your products, first of all, your products are amazing, and I like what I can see your approach that you've taken to it. Understand, it ties in with wholeness. Understand, it is just not just a performance-driven type thing. But I think a question that we need to understand, and because I work a lot with kids, is obviously the demands of performance, of the sport itself, where supplementation And how can I say, supplementation and doping is so contentious, especially when it comes to younger kids. And being a developing kid, understand you've got certain hurdles. Certain kids got anxiety, certain kids got ADHD, OCD, and there is medication for these things, but it's not always allowed for during competitive racing. And one of the biggest challenges that we've got, and personally for me as well, is that if I take, for instance, ADHD, understand it's a hypertensive disorder, understand the kids is oversensitive to stimulation, anxiety, understand, so they need to take certain medication to be able to focus and have the necessary filters. But in the performance side or the sporting side of the sport, those things aren't always allowed. So what will your recommendation basically be on how to approach and guide a kid to go through it without just taking his, how can I say, his means to the sport away, understand, his means to coping? Because, I mean, cycling is not everything. He needs to pass his school. He needs to pass his grades. How do we balance those things?
Theo, it's a simple question to answer. The stimulants, methylphenidate and also amphetamine is the newest drug which we put children on. They have to take it to make them perform in school. And the little ones, they must realize from early age, the moment you start competing competitively, those products and those drugs are not allowed. It's banned in sport, but we use it very successfully to get the children through school, get them to concentrate, and get them through the classes, and get them good marks. But as soon as they realize they can't take these products when they compete competitively, they, like all athletes, they have to stop the medication, they have to withdraw, and then they can do the race, and then they can start using the products again. So my advice is always, they can use it on and off. So while you're in school during the week, you can take the products, you can take the medication, and over the weekends you don't need to take these products. And also if you prepare for a race, maybe time enough, say a week or even longer.
It's like a taper.
Stop the treatment, cope without it, do your race, perform, and then you can start using it again.
Okay. Thanks. I think it is valuable advice because, like I said, I mean, these kids need it. Cycling is not everything, so it will be good.
Theo, thanks for come and share your ideas for the sake of longevity. I'm going to get back on my bicycle as soon as I can.
Is that a promise?